Bruce Lee saved a stranger's life once that stranger spent 30 years trying to find him to say thank you. She found his grave instead. San Francisco, Chinatown. June 1964. A warm Tuesday evening. The streets are busy, restaurants full. The smell of food mixing with salt air from the bay. Families walking. Old men playing cards outside shops. The rhythms of a community that has survived for generations by staying close, by protecting its own. Bruce Lee is 23 years old, walking back to his apartment after teaching his evening class, tired but satisfied. The class went well, new students showing promise. The work is beginning to feel real, like something is being built, something that will last. He's wearing a simple white shirt, black pants, moving through the crowd easily. The natural grace that makes Bruce Lee different from everyone else in every room. He doesn't walk through space, he occupies it differently, like he's always aware of everything around him. Every entrance, every exit, every person. He's thinking about his next class. Planning. Always planning. What worked tonight? What needs adjustment? How to better explain the simultaneous block and strike, his mind running through combinations even while his body walks through Chinatown. Then he hears it. From a narrow alley to his left. Sounds that don't fit the surrounding city noise. Aggressive, urgent, a woman's voice, not screaming, worse than screaming. The controlled, desperate attempt to stay quiet while someone is hurting you. The sound of someone who knows that screaming will make it worse. Bruce turns, steps into the alley without thinking, without calculating risk, without deciding, just moves. The way water moves toward lower ground. 3 men, woman pressed against the wall, young, maybe 20 years old, Chinese, groceries scattered on the ground, one bag split open, oranges rolling in the dirty alley, one man holding her arms, one in front, close, threatening, third standing watch at the alley entrance. Bruce sees it in under 2 seconds. Processes everything. 4 people, 3 threats, 1 victim, entry point, exit point, weapons visible on 1 man, small knife, short blade, enough to be dangerous. Let her go, Bruce says. 3 heads turn. The watchman at the entrance takes a step toward Bruce, assessing, seeing a slim 23-year-old Chinese man in a white shirt, not what he expected, someone who looks like he might be manageable. Walk away, the watchman says. This doesn't involve you. It does now, Bruce says. What happened in the next 45 seconds changed 2 lives forever. The watchman moves first, reaches for Bruce. Bruce doesn't retreat, steps inside. The watchman's reaching arm becomes a lever, physics, geometry. The man goes over Bruce's hip and hits the alley wall, stays there. The man holding the woman releases her, comes toward Bruce, bigger, more confident. Bruce reads his movement, angles, changes position. What looks like retreating is actually setting up the angle. The man commits to a strike. Bruce is no longer where the strike is going. Counter, clean. The man sits down hard, doesn't get up. The third man with the knife. This is the dangerous moment. Knife changes everything, changes distances, changes timing, changes what's possible. Bruce doesn't charge the knife, moves laterally, keeps moving. The knife can't track him properly. The man slashes. Bruce feels the blade, catches his left side, the fabric of his shirt, and skin beneath it. Burning line of pain, not deep, but real. He ignores it, closes the distance during the slash, gets inside the knife's effective range, strike to the wrist. The knife clatters, follow up. The man joins his companions on the ground. 45 seconds, maybe less. Bruce turns to the woman. She's pressed against the wall, eyes wide, shaking, looking at Bruce like he's something she can't process, something impossible. Are you hurt? Bruce asks. She shakes her head, can't speak. Go, quickly, before they recover. Go now. She moves, gathering herself, steps over scattered oranges, looks at Bruce one more time, opens her mouth. No words come out, just a look, the kind that contains everything words can't hold. Then she's gone, into the crowd, into the city. Bruce stands in the alley, the 3 men starting to stir. He leaves, walks back to the street, into the normal flow of Chinatown, like he just stopped to check the time, like nothing happened. He walks half a block, then stops, reaches under his shirt. His hand comes away red. The knife caught him. Left side, 3 inches, not deep, but bleeding. He needs to address this. He goes home. Linda isn't there yet. He cleans the wound himself, bandages it, changes his shirt, puts the white shirt with the knife cut in the trash. When Linda comes home, he doesn't mention it. When students ask about the faint stiffness in his movement over the following weeks, he says training accident. Nobody questions it. He never reports the incident to police, never looks for the woman, never expects anything from it. He helps someone. She got away. That's complete. That's enough. He doesn't need acknowledgement or thanks or the story to continue. He forgets about it, or tries to, the way you forget a dream. The details blur. The woman's face, the scattered oranges, the burning line of the knife. These things fade into the general accumulation of days. He moves on, teaches, trains, builds, gets married, has children, makes films, becomes Bruce Lee. The scar stays. 3 inches. Left side. It's in all his films. Every shirtless scene, viewers assume it's from training. Some kind of legitimate martial arts injury. It never occurs to anyone that it's from an alley in Chinatown, from a stranger he helped and never saw again. The woman's name is Mei-Ling Chen. She's 20 years old when it happens. A student, working part-time in a restaurant, walking home with groceries for her family, in the wrong place at the wrong time, until a stranger in a white shirt appears. Mei-Ling never forgets, can't forget. The night stayed with her the way only certain nights do. The nights that divide your life into before and after. She doesn't know who saved her. Didn't know his name, just a young Chinese man who moved like nothing she'd ever seen, who fought 3 men like it was simple, who told her to run, who she left without thanking, without getting his name, without finding out who he was. She thinks about him for years, wants to find him, to say thank you. The 2 words she couldn't manage in the alley. She asks around Chinatown, describes him. Nobody can place him. She doesn't have enough details. A slim young Chinese man who knew martial arts. In San Francisco, Chinatown, in 19... Mei-Ling finishes her degree, becomes a nurse, works in public health, marries, has children, lives a full life. The kind of full life she might not have had if a stranger hadn't stepped into an alley one June evening. She never stops looking, never stops asking, never forgets the debt she owes, a thank you that needs to be delivered, a name she needs to know, a face she needs to see one more time. Mei-Ling is watching television with her husband, a show called The Green Hornet. She's not particularly interested. Her husband put it on. She's half watching, half doing something else. Then a scene, the sidekick, Kato, moving through a fight fast, impossibly fast, like nothing she's ever seen, except once in an alley in Chinatown. Mei-Ling sits up, stares at the screen, her heart doing something strange. "What's this show?" she asks her husband. "The Green Hornet. You know it. The fighter. The sidekick. Who is he?" Her husband looks at the credits. Bruce Lee. Why? The name she's been looking for. 3 years. Bruce Lee. The man who saved her in 1964 is Bruce Lee. Mei-Ling watches the rest of the episode barely breathing, watching his movements, recognizing them. Yes, this is him. She's certain. The way he occupies space, the efficiency, the grace, the same man. She wants to contact him, write to the studio, find his address, say thank you. Finally, 3 years late. But say it. She writes a letter to the studio, explaining who she is, what happened, asking them to forward it to Bruce Lee. She doesn't expect a response, doesn't even know if the letter will reach him. The letter reaches the studio, gets filed with fan mail. Bruce Lee receives thousands of letters, most go unanswered. But someone on his team reads them. And this one is different, not a fan letter. A specific story, a specific date, a specific alley. Bruce reads it. The alley comes back. The woman with scattered oranges, the knife catching his side. He didn't forget, just filed it away. Under things that happened, under things that didn't need to continue. But now it's continuing. 30 years after. Bruce writes back. Short letter. Acknowledging that yes, he remembers the alley. He's glad she's safe. He's glad her life went well. He hopes she's happy. He doesn't make it more than it was. A moment. A choice. A thing that needed doing. Mei-Ling receives the letter. Cries for an hour. Then writes back. Longer this time. Telling him what that night meant. How it changed her. How the knowledge that strangers will step into dark alleys for you changes how you see humanity. How she became a nurse partly because of it, because she wanted to do for others what he did for her, to step in, to help, without expectation. They correspond. Briefly. A few letters. Bruce answers when he can. His life is increasingly chaotic in the early 1970s. Films, promotion, planning. The letters from Mei Ling are quiet moments in the noise. Simple human connection. The last letter Mei Ling receives from Bruce is dated June 1973, a month before he dies. Brief. He's clearly busy, distracted, but he writes, tells her about Game of Death, about his plans, about Brandon and Shannon, about Linda. Then he dies. July 20th, 1973. Mei Ling sees it on the news. Sits very still for a very long time. She never got to say thank you in person, never got to look him in the eye and say the words she couldn't manage in the alley, never got to show him what her life became, how far those 45 seconds reached, how many patients she treated, how many lives her work touched, because she was a stranger who became a nurse because a stranger stepped into an alley. She keeps his letters, treasures them, shows them to her children, tells them the story. This man changed my life, and I changed other lives because of it, and those lives changed others. That's what one moment of courage does. It ripples forward forever. In 1975, Mei Ling travels to Seattle. Bruce Lee is buried in Lakeview Cemetery. She stands at his grave. Finally, the thank you she couldn't say in 1964. The words that took 11 years in a cemetery to deliver. She talks to him, tells him who she is, what happened after the alley, her nursing career, her family, the patients she helped. The lives she thinks are different because she lived, because he stepped in. Thank you, she finally says, the two words she needed to say since June 1964. She leaves oranges on his grave, the scattered oranges from that alley. The image that stayed with her for 30 years, a small tribute, a private symbol, something only she and the grave understand. The cemetery groundskeeper notices the oranges, doesn't know what they mean, just notes them. Unusual, not flowers, oranges. Mei Ling comes back. Every few years, always leaves oranges. Her children come with her after she tells them the story. Her grandchildren eventually, each generation hearing about the man in the white shirt, the stranger who stepped in. Mei Ling is 56. Her granddaughter asks her, "Grandma, why do you bring oranges?" Mei Ling tells the story. The alley, the three men, the stranger, the oranges rolling in the dirt, the two words she never said. Did you ever thank him? At his grave, Mei Ling says, 11 years late, but I thanked him. Do you think he heard? Mei Ling looks at her granddaughter, then at the grave, then at the city beyond the cemetery, at all the lives Bruce Lee touched, students he taught, films he made, philosophy he shared, generations of people who trained because of him, thought because of him, were braver because of him. I think he hears everything, Mei Ling says. He always did. Shannon Lee hears about Mei Ling from the cemetery groundskeeper, who noticed the oranges year after year, who eventually asked, who tracked down Shannon to tell her. Shannon reaches out to Mei Ling. They meet, an elderly woman and Bruce Lee's daughter, connected by an alley in 1964 that neither of them witnessed together but both live with. Mei Ling tells Shannon everything, the alley, the men, the knife she didn't know about until Shannon tells her, the scar in all the films. Shannon is quiet for a long time. I always wondered about that scar. He never talked about it. I didn't know it was from that night, Mei Ling says. I didn't know he was hurt. He wouldn't tell anyone. That was my father. He helped. He didn't talk about it. Didn't make himself the hero. Just helped and moved on. But he was the hero. Yes, Shannon says. He was. They sit together for a while. Two women connected by a man neither of them has anymore. By an alley in 1964. By oranges on a grave. By the ripples of one moment of courage that reached across decades. The woman Bruce Lee never forgot. Who never forgot him. Who spent 30 years looking for the man who saved her, who found his grave instead of his face, who left oranges instead of words, who finally said thank you to a headstone, and whose entire life, and the lives she touched as a nurse, and the lives those patients touched, trace back to 45 seconds in a Chinatown alley. One man, one choice, one moment, rippling forward, forever. Bruce Lee didn't save Mei Ling's life because he was a martial artist. He saved it because he heard something wrong and moved toward it instead of away. That's it. That's the whole lesson. Not philosophy, not technique, not discipline. Just this. When you hear something wrong, move toward it, not away, toward. Bruce Lee did that in an alley with 3 men and a knife because a stranger needed help and he was there. The rest is ripples.